This course is a companion to the book The Project Brain: Evolving Project Managers, available on Amazon. If you find today's session valuable, the book goes deeper on every framework you are about to learn, including the three-tier document system, the janitor protocol, synthetic stakeholder simulations, and the full blueprint for an artificial intelligence-powered project management office you can run from your own desktop. You can find it by searching for The Project Brain by Self-Made PM on Amazon, or by visiting selfmadepm.com. Now let us begin the course. 1. Welcome to this 3-hour professional development session on earned value management. Over the next 3 hours, we will turn a topic that most project managers find intimidating into a working analytical discipline that you can apply to any project at any scale starting next week. This course is eligible for 3 self-reported professional development units, abbreviated PDU, with the Project Management Institute, abbreviated PMI, under the online or digital media category. It maps to the ways of working edge of the PMI talent triangle because earned value management is a core delivery discipline for measuring performance. Let us begin. 2. By the end of this session, you will be able to do 3 things. First, you will be able to calculate the 3 foundational values of earned value management, abbreviated EVM, which are planned value, earned value, and actual cost, along with both variances and both performance indices. Second, you will be able to produce forecasting outputs, including estimate at completion and estimate to complete, and explain them to stakeholders in plain language. Third, you will be able to build a working EVM dashboard in a simple spreadsheet, use it to drive weekly management decisions, and avoid the common pitfalls that make EVM fail in practice. 3. Here's how we will spend our 3 hours together. Part 1 covers what EVM solves and why traditional schedule plus budget tracking is insufficient. Part 2 introduces the 3 core values: planned value, earned value, and actual cost. Part 3 covers variance analysis, meaning schedule variance and cost variance. Part 4 covers performance indices, meaning the schedule performance index and the cost performance index. Part 5 covers forecasting, including estimate at completion, estimate to complete, and the different formulas you might use. Part 6 covers practical implementation, common pitfalls, and how to communicate EVM results to non-technical audiences. At the end, I will walk you through exactly how to claim your PDUs. Ask a typical project manager how their project is doing, and you will often hear some version of, "We are about 60% done and slightly behind schedule." Press further and you discover that the 60% is a guess, slightly behind is undefined, and nobody can tell you whether the project will finish over or under budget. Earned value management exists to replace vague assessments like these with precise, objective measurements. 5. Traditional project tracking looks at schedule and cost separately. Your schedule tracking tells you whether milestones are hitting their planned dates. Your budget tracking tells you whether spending is within the approved amount. Neither tells you the full story, and the combinations are often misleading. You can be on schedule but overspending. You can be underspending but behind schedule. You can be hitting milestones while producing low-quality work that will require rework later. EVM integrates scope, schedule, and cost into a single measurement system that answers the 3 questions every sponsor actually cares about. Are we getting the work done that we planned? Are we ahead or behind schedule in terms of delivered value, not just calendar? Are we over or under budget for the value we have actually produced? 6. Every EVM analysis comes back to three questions. How much work did we plan to have done by now? How much work have we actually accomplished? And how much did we spend to accomplish it? Hold these three questions in your head through the rest of the course. Every metric we calculate is an answer to one of them, or a ratio between two of them, or a projection based on the relationship between them. If you understand the three questions, the math stops being intimidating. 7. Many project managers avoid EVM because the terminology feels bureaucratic. Acronyms like PV, EV, AC, SV, CV, SPI, CPI, EAC, ETC. It looks like a compliance exercise, and in some government contexts, it actually is one. But the core ideas are simple arithmetic, and the insight EVM gives you is available on any project at any scale. You do not need enterprise software. You do not need a dedicated analyst. You need a spreadsheet and the discipline to update it weekly. 8. Every EVM calculation starts with three values. Get these three right, and the rest is arithmetic. 9. Planned value, abbreviated PV, is the authorized budget assigned to the work scheduled to be completed by a given date. It represents what you planned to accomplish by today. If your total project budget is $100,000 and your schedule says you should be 40% done by today, your planned value today is $40,000. Planned value is the plan side of the equation. It comes from your baseline schedule and your baseline budget, set at the start of the project and not changed unless you formally rebaseline. 10. Earned value, abbreviated EV, is the authorized budget for the work that has actually been completed. It represents what you have accomplished, valued at the original plan's prices. If your project has completed work that was budgeted at $30,000, your earned value is $30,000, regardless of what you actually spent to produce it. This is the key insight of EVM. We measure progress in the same currency as the plan, which lets us compare them directly. Earned value is the progress side of the equation. Actual cost, abbreviated AC, is the total cost incurred for the work completed. It represents what you have spent. If you have spent $35,000 to produce the $30,000 of earned value, your actual cost is $35,000. Actual cost is the price side of the equation, pulled from your financial system. 12. Imagine a 12-week project with a $100,000 budget, evenly spread across the weeks. At the end of week 6, your planned value is $50,000 because you plan to be halfway through. Your team has actually completed work that was budgeted at $40,000, so your earned value is $40,000. Your finance system reports that you have spent $45,000, so your actual cost is $45,000. Keep this example in mind as we calculate variances and indices. All three values sit side by side, and the relationships between them produce every EVM metric you will ever use. 13. Once you have planned value, earned value, and actual cost, you can calculate two critical variances. Variances tell you where you are right now. Schedule variance, abbreviated SV, equals earned value minus planned value. A positive schedule variance means you are ahead of schedule, measured in dollars of value delivered. A negative schedule variance means you are behind. In our example, EV of 40,000 minus PV of 50,000 gives a schedule variance of negative 10,000. You are $10,000 of value behind where you plan to be. Note that SV is measured in currency, not time. Converting it to weeks or days requires dividing by your average weekly spend, which is a rough approximation but often useful. 15. Cost variance, abbreviated CV, equals earned value minus actual cost. A positive cost variance means you are under budget. A negative cost variance means you are over. In our example, EV of 40,000 minus AC of 45,000 gives a cost variance of negative 5,000. You have spent $5,000 more than the value you have delivered. 16. The two variances tell a story when read together. Both positive means the project is ahead of schedule and under budget, which is unusual and usually either a measurement error or a signal that the baseline was padded. Both negative means the project is behind schedule and over budget, which requires intervention. Positive schedule, negative cost means you are delivering fast but expensively, often from overtime or expedited work. Negative schedule, positive cost means you are slow but thrifty, often because work has not yet started that was scheduled to have started. Each combination calls for a different management response, which is why EVM produces better decisions than either metric alone. 17. The beauty of variances is their simplicity. Anyone can understand we have earned $40,000 worth of work but spent $45,000 to do it. That sentence carries more information than a Gantt chart with red bars or a pie chart with a percentage. When you communicate with sponsors, use the plain language of the variance, not the acronym. Executives do not need to learn SV and CV. They need to hear we are $10,000 of value behind schedule and $5,000 over budget for the work we have completed, and here is our plan. 18. Variances tell you where you are. Performance indices tell you how efficiently you are getting there. They are ratios rather than dollar amounts, which makes them useful for trend analysis and for comparing projects of different sizes. 19. The Schedule Performance Index, abbreviated SPI, equals earned value divided by planned value. An SPI of 1.0 means you are exactly on schedule. Below 1.0 means behind, and above 1.0 means ahead. In our example, 40,000 divided by 50,000 gives an SPI of 0.80. You are delivering work at 80% of the planned rate. SPI values below 0.90 warrant immediate attention. Values below 0.80 signal serious schedule distress. 20. The Cost Performance Index, abbreviated CPI, equals earned value divided by actual cost. A CPI of 1.0 means you are spending exactly as planned for the value you are delivering. Below 1.0 means you are getting less value per dollar spent, and above 1.0 means you are getting more. In our example, 40,000 divided by 45,000 gives a CPI of about 0.89. Every dollar you have spent is producing about 89 cents of planned value. CPI is the single most important single number in project health tracking because research consistently shows that once CPI drops below 0.90 after a project is 20% complete, it rarely recovers without significant intervention. 21. Performance indices are especially useful for trend analysis. A CPI that has been declining for 3 consecutive reporting periods is an early warning signal that demands action, even if the absolute variance still looks manageable. The same is true of SPI. Plot both indices on a simple line chart. Update them weekly, and you will see patterns before they become crises. Trend-based management is the real payoff of EVM because it lets you intervene 2 months earlier than traditional methods would have allowed. 22. The combinations of SPI and CPI carry specific meanings. Both at 1.0 or above indicates a well-performing project. Both below 1.0 indicates a project in genuine trouble. SPI at 1.0 but CPI below 1.0 suggests you are delivering on schedule by spending more than planned, perhaps through overtime or expedited resources, which is a sustainability question. SPI below 1.0 but CPI at 1.0 suggests you are maintaining cost discipline but falling behind, perhaps because scope is larger than estimated or productivity is lower. Each combination calls for a different diagnosis, which is the whole point of having 2 indices instead of 1. 23. The real power of EVM is forecasting. Variances and indices describe the past. Forecasting tells you where the project is headed if current patterns continue, which is the information sponsors actually need to make decisions. 24. The estimate at completion, abbreviated EAC, predicts the total cost of the project based on current performance. The most commonly used formula is EAC equals budget at completion divided by CPI. Budget at completion, abbreviated BAC, is your original approved total budget. If your BAC is $100,000 and your CPI is 0.85, then EAC equals 100,000 divided by 0.85, which is approximately $117,647. The forecast says that if current cost efficiency continues, the final project cost will be about 18% over the original budget. 25. The estimate to complete, abbreviated ETC, equals EAC minus actual cost. It tells you how much more money you need to spend to finish the project if current performance continues. In our example, if EAC is $117,647 and you have already spent $45,000 of actual cost, your estimate to complete is about $72,647. This is the number you walk into a sponsor meeting with when you ask for additional budget authorization. It is defensible, it is derived from real performance data, and it is not a guess. 26. There is more than one estimate at completion formula, and choosing the right one depends on your assumptions about future performance. The basic formula assumes current cost efficiency continues, which is often the right assumption on a well-understood project. An alternative formula uses both CPI and SPI together, which is appropriate when schedule pressure is driving cost behavior and you expect both trends to continue. A third formula treats the overrun to date as one time and assumes remaining work will be at plan, which is usually optimistic and should be used with caution. The safest default is the CPI-based formula, but understand the assumptions and pick deliberately. 27. A more advanced forecasting metric is the 2 Complete Performance Index, abbreviated TCPI. It answers the question, what efficiency would we need for the remaining work to finish on the original budget? The formula is remaining work, meaning BAC minus EV, divided by remaining budget, meaning BAC minus AC. If TCPI comes out at 1.2, the team needs to achieve a cost efficiency of 120% of planned for the remainder of the project in order to hit the original budget. Compare that target to the current CPI of 0.89 and you see how unrealistic the target actually is. TCPI is often the cleanest way to communicate to a sponsor that the original budget is no longer achievable and that a rebaseline is appropriate. 28. Everything we have covered so far is arithmetic. The harder question is how to actually operate EVM in a real project without it becoming a bureaucratic burden. 29. You do not need enterprise software to use EVM. A spreadsheet with columns for work package, plan budget, plan percent complete by week, actual percent complete, earned value, and actual cost is enough to get started. Update it weekly. Calculate SV, CV, SPI, CPI, EAC, and ETC. Plot the trends over time. Share the resulting dashboard with your sponsor. A one-page EVM dashboard is often the single most valuable artifact on a project because it replaces narrative guesswork with numbers that anchor every status conversation. 30. The most common EVM mistake is applying it only at the project level. A project level CPI of 0.95 might hide a single work package with a CPI of 0.50 that is dragging down the average. Break the project into work packages small enough to have meaningful performance signals of their own, and calculate EVM at the work package level. Then roll up to the project level for executive reporting. This lets you see which specific parts of the project are driving the overall picture, which is exactly the diagnostic information a project manager needs to act. 31. EVM lives or dies on the quality of your percent complete estimates. If percent complete is a subjective guess, every downstream metric is unreliable. Use objective completion criteria wherever possible. Discrete milestones achieved or not, deliverables formally accepted, units of measurable output produced, such as features accepted, test cases passed, or documents approved. For work packages where objective criteria are hard to define, use the 50-50 rule, where a task is credited as 50% complete when started and 100% complete when finished, with nothing in between. This is crude, but more honest than subjective percent estimates. 32. EVM is only valuable if it drives decisions. When CPI drops below 0.90, take corrective action that week. Do not wait for the next steering committee. Possible actions include renegotiating scope, reassigning resources, rebaselining after a formal change, or escalating to the sponsor for direction. The numbers are only worth the effort of calculating them if you act on them. A weekly EVM dashboard that does not produce any management decisions is ceremony, not analysis. 33. 3 pitfalls destroy most EVM implementations. The first is inaccurate percent complete, which we have covered. The second is baseline drift, meaning the planned value is quietly updated to match actual performance, which defeats the entire measurement system. The baseline should only change through formal change control. The third is dashboard theater, meaning the metrics get produced and presented but are never actually discussed or acted on. All 3 of these pitfalls are cultural rather than technical. The fix is leadership commitment to treat the EVM dashboard as a source of truth that drives real decisions. 34. Most stakeholders do not care about the formulas. They care about whether the project is healthy and whether they need to worry. When presenting EVM to non-technical audiences, lead with the plain language version. We are 2 weeks behind schedule. We are over budget by about $10,000 for the work completed so far. If current trends continue, we will finish about 18% over the original budget. Follow up with the underlying metrics for those who want to go deeper, but do not lead with them. The goal of EVM communication is to produce informed decisions, not to prove that you know how to do the math. 35. Sometimes a project deviates so far from the original baseline that the EVM numbers become meaningless. Trying to report against a baseline that no one believes anymore produces false confidence and wasted effort. In those cases, formal rebaselining is the right move. Rebaselining means updating the baseline to reflect a new, agreed plan, typically after a major scope change, a vendor change, or a leadership-approved replanning. Rebaselining should be a deliberate, documented event with sponsor approval, not a silent adjustment. After the rebaseline, EVM calculations restart against the new baseline, and historical data is preserved for lessons learned but no longer drives forecasting. 36. We covered a lot. You can now calculate plan value, earn value, and actual cost, the three foundational values of EVM. You can produce schedule variance and cost variance to describe where you are, and schedule performance index and cost performance index to describe how efficiently you are getting there. You can forecast using estimate at completion and estimate to complete. Pick the right EAC formula for your assumptions and use to complete performance index to surface whether the original budget is still achievable. You know the practical steps to operate EVM in a simple spreadsheet at the work package level with objective percent complete, acting on the results rather than just reporting them. Your next step is to build a one-page EVM dashboard for one of your active projects this week and update it every Monday for the next month. 37. To claim your 3 professional development units, log into your PMI dashboard at the Continuing Certification Requirement System, which is abbreviated CCRS. Select Report Professional Development Units. Choose the category labeled Online or Digital Media. Enter the course title exactly as shown on your certificate, which is Earned Value Management Explained. Enter the date you completed the course. Enter the provider name as Self-Made PM. Enter the Professional Development Unit value of 3 allocated to the Ways of Working area of the talent triangle. Retain your certificate of completion in case of an audit. Self-Made PM is not a Project Management Institute authorized training partner, and professional development units on this platform are self-reported. Thank you for spending these 3 hours with me. I will see you in the next course. Thank you for completing this course. If the ideas in this session spark something for you, the next step is the book. The Project Brain, Evolving Project Managers is available now on Amazon and goes far beyond what we could cover in this session. It contains the complete system for building, maintaining, and scaling an artificial intelligence-powered project management office, the full janitor protocol with templates, deeper stakeholder simulation patterns, and real-world case studies from practitioners who have saved 10 to 15 hours per week using these methods. You can find more free courses, tools, and articles at selfmadepm.com. Again, thank you for your time, and remember to log your professional development units. I will see you in the next course. 39.